My name is Rahil Shaikh and this is my story. I am from India. I am from India, from a very small town called Dharwad with a population of 2 million, right? And I come from a family, okay, so one day I was driving back home, I was driving my cycle back to my house, and I was about 50 feet away from my house, and I saw that my bed sheet was on the road, right? And you're 11 years old, right? So I thought, oh, maybe this is not my bed sheet, maybe someone else has a 7 dwarfs bed sheet beside my house, right? I go a bit further, I see my pillowcase there, I'm like, all right, maybe someone has a 7 dwarfs pillowcase as well, right? I go a bit further, 3 feet from my house. I see my boxers with my initial on it, right? I'm like, this is my stuff, right? So I go inside my house and there is my mom sitting, right? My mom is sitting in this swivel chair we had. What's it called? Some wooden chair, it doesn't matter. Sitting on the wooden chair, drinking her tea, right? And she looks at me and goes, Dad went inside your room and he saw that you hadn't made your bed. So he got mad and threw all your stuff out, right? But don't worry, I took care of it, right? He's all right now. Just go out, pick your stuff up and make your bed. And just make sure you don't make your dad mad again, right? That was my mother. Very emotional, right? Very huggy, right? And also very successful, right? She's a principal of a medical college. And the exact opposite of that is my father, right? Very Ayn Randish. Do you guys know what that means? Exactly, right? That guy did not have a single emotional bone in his life, right? He was surgically objective. And he was an orthopedic surgeon, right? Uber successful too. Here's a quick fact about my parents, right? Both of them came from a very poor family, right? With 6 kids and 7 kids. Which is why I guess there is 1.3 billion people in India, right? Anyways, so these people, both of these guys came from very poor families, worked very hard, and are super successful right now, right? But they're very different people, right? My mother is very emotional and my father is very Ayn Randish. So what happened is when I was growing up, my father became so successful, he made so much money, he decided to build his own hospital, right? So growing up, the construction of the hospital was a very big part of my childhood, man. So I would be outside, right, just at the construction site. Like me and my sister would visit the construction site all the time, just to see what the hospital looked like, right? Because this was mind-blowing, man. No one constructed hospitals, you know what I mean? People just had hospitals, no one constructed. This guy read Ayn Rand is like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to build a hospital, right? And he did, man. So since I was a kid, I used to watch him shouting his orders, right? And here's the thing. Anyone who reads Ayn Rand is not a humble person, right? She's not humble either, 100%, right? They are proud of their accomplishments. And he was, man. He was proud and loud about it, right? So he would shout orders like a motherfucker, I don't know what was. So he would shout orders and be like, I'm paying for the food on your plate right now, right? So you just ride those people very hard, man. And I would be, just sitting on the corner, watching this guy shouting orders with the left hand in the air, right? And the right hand, he had a cigarette in his mouth, right? The cigarette was called Kings. It's a very famous brand. It was a very famous brand in India, right? Called Kings. So this is the image that is burned in my head, right? My father standing there in a spotlight like this. It's not really a spotlight, but you know what I mean, right? Just standing there, pointing his finger to some poor guy who just happened to be there, right? Just shouting orders and smoking the cigarette, right? So for some reason, subconsciously in my head, a good watch and smoking cigarette is a symbol of authority, right? That is what I still carry in my heart, right? Exhibit A, right? So that's what happened. So I grew up watching my father do that. So one day when I was 11 years old, I thought, you know what, man? I'm old enough, right? I grew some mustache. I was like, it's time to take control of my life, right? And for some reason, whenever my father smoked, he always had a cup of tea in his hand as well, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to smoke a cigarette, but for that, I need to learn how to make tea before, right? And at that time, there was no Google. So I straight up, like a gangster, went to my dad and was like, hey, how do I make tea, right? I was like, what? Like, okay, here's how you make tea, right? Not knowing that I was making tea to smoke cigarettes. So I make that tea, right? And here's the other thing about my father, man. He would smoke cigarettes and he would just throw the butts on the ground, right? And most of the times, if you smoke cigarettes, you just throw like the last 20% off. You know what I mean? You don't smoke it completely unless you're like me. I smoke it all the way to the butt. Anyways, he left some, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay. Thank you. So he just left the cigarettes on the ground. So that day, that fateful day, man, I prepared a cup of tea, right? Black tea. Again, because I'm a gangster, right? Take that black tea, go out, and I find cigarettes, right? And at this point of time, I'm collecting cigarettes like do you know those birds that collect twigs for their nest? That's how I've been collecting cigarettes, right? I just have a big stash of cigarettes, right? Very serial killer-y vibe, right? So I pick one of those cigarettes, right? And I'm in this, there's this facade in front of our house. And I'm standing there, which is kind of hidden from everyone else. So I take a sip of my tea, I take the cigarette and I light it, right? Okay, so at this point of time, you know how when you have a crush on someone, right, for several years, and then finally you decide to go talk to them, right? You don't care what she tells, what she has to tell about you. You're like, fuck yes, I finally went there to talk to her. That adrenaline, you know what I mean? That is what I felt, right? I felt like a goddamn man, right? I didn't know what I was doing. I was probably not even smoking it right. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't think I even lit it right, you know? Anyway, so I do this. One, right? Oh, I'm sorry. Right-hand cigarette. This is my first time telling stories. 1, 2, right? Feeling pretty gangster. 3, 4, pretty gangster. What are you doing, Rahil? Right there, my father, right? I make eye contact with this guy. And at this point, I'm holding cigarette in my mouth. Just look at him. And now at this point, I felt like, you know how you have a crush on someone for 3-4 years, and you decide, fuck it, I'm just gonna go talk to her, and she's like, nah. That's what I felt at that moment, right? God damn. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, so I left the smoke out like a gangster again. I'm like, oh, I'm nothing. He walked up to me, and he slapped me. Obviously, right? Not once, not twice, thrice, right? What did I do? Cry. Not gangster at all, right? So I cried and he told me, I want you to promise me that you will never smoke a cigarette in your life, right? I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. He's like, okay, get ready and go to school, right? So I go inside my house. So you need to imagine, so at this point of time, I'm getting ready to go to the school, and it's just like an 80s movies montage, right? Where a kid is getting ready to school, right? He brushes his teeth, takes a shower, irons his shirt. But all the while I'm doing this, I'm just crying, right? Just tears flowing through my eyes, just like, oh. So I get ready and I walk out, right? And there's my father. He goes, and his eyes are red now, right? Like his eyes are red. He comes to me and he's like, hey, Rahil, can I talk to you for a minute? I'm like, sure. I walk up to him and this guy hugs me, right? Never in my life he has hugged me before. And he goes, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. I don't know what happened. I'm so sorry. I know it's my fault, probably that you picked up cigarettes because you've seen me smoking cigarettes for such long time, right? Now at this point, I am baffled, right? Not only I am physically in pain because he slapped me like 30 minutes ago, now I'm mentally like, what? This is not the man I knew, you know? What happened to you? And that is where, in my 11-year-old naive mind, I realized that sometimes your daddy acts like your mommy. And that is perfectly okay. Thank you so much, guys.